Since the first whispers of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, the entire nation has been gripped by uncertainty and fear. The 84-year-old grandmother, known for her sharp mind and warm heart, was last seen in the early hours of February 1st, 2026, and has been missing ever since. As each day passes, her family, led by daughter Savannah, continues to search for answers. Without her vital medication, Nancy's health is rapidly deteriorating and time is critical. Her family's pain is shared by a grieving public, all holding their breath as authorities chase down every lead. Nancy, a fixture in the Tucson community, was the glue that held her family together. After the sudden loss of her husband, she raised her 3 children, including Savannah, who is known to millions as the trusted anchor on NBC's Today Show. Despite her own struggles with chronic conditions, Nancy's love for her family and faith in God kept her grounded. The peaceful desert town where she lived was considered a haven, but that sense of safety was shattered in an instant when Nancy vanished without a trace. The night of her disappearance. The evening of January 31st, 2026 was a normal family night. Nancy shared a dinner with her loved ones and was dropped off at her home around 9:30 p.m. After using her walker to enter her home, the garage door closed and that was the last anyone heard from her. Her pacemaker, monitored through an app, showed normal signals until around 2 a.m. on Sunday, February 1st, when the app lost connection. This gap between 10 p.m. and 2:30 a.m. has become the heart of the investigation, as authorities now believe Nancy was taken during this time. The first alarm came when Nancy didn't show up for church the next morning, a service she never missed. Concerned, a friend reached out to the family. By noon, relatives arrived at her home, only to find it eerily empty. There were no signs of Nancy leaving on her own, and the house showed signs of forced entry. The Puma County Sheriff's Office was quickly called, and the situation rapidly escalated from a missing person case to a potential kidnapping. The crime scene and investigation. Within hours, the home was declared a crime scene. Investigators found signs of forced entry, including damage to the door and window frames, as well as a small amount of blood inside the house. Some reports mention a trail leading from the house to the porch and driveway. Sheriff Chris Nanos stated, "We believe Nancy was taken from her home against her will." The involvement of homicide detectives and the FBI further confirmed the severity of the case, marking it as a high-priority investigation. Authorities soon expanded their search. Ground teams scoured the rugged terrain around the Catalina foothills, where Nancy lived. Helicopters, drones, and volunteers joined the effort, canvassing the neighborhood for any clues. With no obvious vehicle seen leaving the area and no clear footprints to follow, investigators focused on the evidence within the house. The fact that Nancy had been taken, rather than having wandered off, became undeniable. The urgency of Nancy's health. The clock was ticking and Nancy's health was in grave danger without her medication. Doctors warned that her heart problems, along with constant pain requiring daily medication, made her condition critical. Without these medications, she could experience weakness, confusion, and even a fatal cardiac event. By the second day of her disappearance, the family knew time was their enemy. Sheriff Nanos continued to update the press, stating that every lead was being investigated seriously. The family's plea for Nancy's safe return gained widespread attention, and thousands of tips flooded in from the public. The family's heartfelt plea. The raw video released by the family touched the hearts of millions. In the video, the Guthrie children, visibly exhausted but composed, thanked the public for their prayers and support. They described their mother as kind, loyal, and full of love. With their voices trembling, they addressed the ransom rumors, asking for confirmation of Nancy's well-being. They begged for her captors to contact them, assuring them that they were ready to listen, no matter the circumstances. The video went viral within hours, spreading across national news networks like NBC, CBS, and CNN. Strangers across the country shared messages of support, and vigils were held in Nancy's honor. The family's message was clear. They were ready to engage with those holding Nancy, but only if they could confirm that she was alive. The escalating search efforts. On February 5th, the investigation continued to intensify. Forensics teams returned to Nancy's home, processing every piece of evidence. The sheriff provided updates on the investigation, revealing a tighter timeline of events and confirming that blood found on the porch was Nancy's. Despite this, there were still no suspects, and the case remained open. The FBI announced a $50 000 reward for information that could lead to Nancy's recovery or the arrest of those responsible. The search continued with no new developments, but the family's plea seemed to shift the tone of the investigation. A growing sense of urgency filled the air, with public support increasing by the day. Neighbors, friends, and strangers alike rallied around the Guthrie family, holding signs, lighting candles, and sharing the message on social media. The family's latest plea for Nancy's return. On February 7th, the family released another video, this one even more desperate than the last. With renewed determination, Savannah, Annie, and Cameron addressed the captors directly, stating, "We received your message and we understand." Their voices cracked as they pleaded for Nancy's safe return, emphasizing that they were willing to pay the ransom to bring her home. The video quickly spread across social media, drawing millions of views and further intensifying the search for Nancy. Authorities confirmed they were aware of the latest ransom demands, but as the family's plea made its way through the media, the case remained unsolved. The willingness of the family to pay a ransom changed the dynamic of the investigation, but the question remained. Was this the real demand? Was Nancy still alive, or was time running out? The looming deadline. On Sunday, February 8th, a week after Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, the search continued without pause. Deputies and agents were still processing the scene and following up on leads. New ransom messages surfaced, with a demand for $6 million in Bitcoin, with a deadline set for Monday at 5 p.m. local time. The threat of harm to Nancy's life if the deadline was not met only added to the urgency. As the deadline approached, the entire community remained on edge. Every piece of evidence, from the blood on the porch to the missing pacemaker signals, suggested that something deeply sinister had taken place. Authorities were still investigating every lead, but the answers they so desperately needed remained elusive. The only certainty was that Nancy's life was at stake, and the clock was ticking. The road ahead. The search for Nancy Guthrie continues as authorities and the Guthrie family await any breakthrough in the case. Each update, each tip, each plea from the family brings a glimmer of hope, but as the hours slip by, the pressure mounts. The public's support for Nancy and her family remains unwavering, but the question remains, will they be able to bring Nancy home before it's too late? As the investigation unfolds, the entire nation remains on alert, hoping for a positive outcome and praying for Nancy's safe return. Authorities are continuing their efforts, and the family's plea for answers grows louder with each passing day. The search is far from over, and the quest to find Nancy Guthrie continues.